Good day. Welcome to today's talk on the competencies required to jump into an exponential world. My name is Mustapha Zaouini. I'm the CEO of Fliptin, which is a startup studio focusing on bridging AI, fintech, and blockchain to address purpose-driven projects. I'm also a co-founder at AI in Africa. And this is a topic that we'll be addressing a bit later on around the digital divide and the dilemma with exponentiality. When we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, we clearly directly associate that with the different technologies or the exponential technologies, which I will not go into the details here, on drones, energy, AI, and 3D printing. And the challenge is, what does it take to adapt to the change? A lot of the companies and some of them I've worked for in the past have not managed to deal with that transition. As David Rose says, any company designed for success in the 20th century is doomed to failure in the 21st century. So, and often the technologies that we relate to, such as blockchain, AI, robotics, and so on and so forth, are very much at the early stage when we try to develop a new thing, and it happens to us a lot in our startup environment. But a lot of experts think that we reach actually a stage where we're crossing the chasm. And as part of crossing the chasm, we need to change our mindset. So what does it mean having a different mindset when we talk about exponential technologies? Well, we're familiar with the linear, we live in a linear way, in a linear world, which means that basically we can visualize making 30 steps of 1 meter. But it's a lot more difficult for us to visualize making 30 steps, 30 exponential steps, because that will mean that we'll go 27 times around the planet. So a computer is easier to address that, to kind of like measure that. But us as human, it's a lot more complicated. Clearly changes took place and has been taking place for a long, long time. In fact, on this picture here in the 1900s, you can see actually in 13 years how changes took place in the streets of New York. And the changes are probably taking place even faster now. And as part of that exponentiality, often we refer to the 6Ds of an exponential curve, which are digitalization, deception, disruption, demonetization, dematerialization, and democratization. We'll focus today, as part of the EXO methodology, on 4 of them. 4 examples that we would like to address. So first of all, Tesla, as we all know it, as part of the digitization, I think we are much more further down the line on digital transformation than we thought we would be at this stage. And what is Tesla, if not maybe just an iPad with wheels, right? To date, the information revolution has mostly unfolded in software. However, with the growing availability of cheaper sensors and devices, greater innovation in the hardware used in entertainment systems is expected. Virtual reality haptics could enter our living room very soon. Personalized companion robots are already being developed. Interaction with robots and other entertainment systems will become dialogue-based, perhaps constrained at the start, but progressively more human-like. Equally, interacting systems are predicted to develop new characteristics such as emotion, empathy, and adaptation to environmental rhythms such as time of the day. Today, an amateur with a video camera and readily available software tools can make a relatively good movie. In future, more sophisticated tools and apps will become available to make it even easier to produce high-quality content, to compose music, or to choreograph dance using an avatar. The creation and dissemination of entertainment will benefit from the progress of technologies such as dubbing, machine translation, and will enable content to be customized to different audiences. This democratization and proliferation of AI-created media-like content will make it much more difficult to predict how human tastes for entertainment, which are already fluid, will evolve. And we already live in, I would say, in a world where assistant AI is already part of much more pervasive than it was just a few years ago. we need also look at what disruption will take, how disruption will take place. I mean, who will think that, genetics, biotechnology will disrupt energy by growing plants, by mixing, plants and shellfish, and will create a different type of lighting without electricity. The Google car, as we know it, came, 6 years ago. This is already happening. But the key aspect of this happening is that it's not just about the autonomous car, it's also the safety that car brings on the road. And with that safety, it will disrupt the car insurance themselves, because now car manufacturers have already claimed that they will provide the insurance directly should their autonomous cars are on the road. So this is happening. Not only that, but actually part of the demonetization stage is also started. Today, Come.ai is planning to provide you for $999 the possibility to also drive your own car in an autonomous way. Demonetization, we've seen it happening just over 11 years actually, has a real impact on the music industry. Not only the physical download revenue has gone down dramatically, but actually even the downloads themselves, which, from only 11 years ago, would not have thought that would have almost disappeared, to be replaced completely by streaming. The democratization stage of the exponential journey is very dear to us at AI in Africa. This is an example of a little girl who was receiving a 3D printed prosthetic arm. She outgrown her previous 4 ones, and the mother found a design online, got it printed not far from her in the UK, and this is now the joy of the girl receiving that. I will definitely welcome you to have a look at BBC documentary on the One Hand UK website. So it is difficult for us to predict what will happen and which disruption these exponential technologies will bring to us. Specifically, that today we ourselves are generating a lot of information, and not only through our DNA, but also all the information that's carrying around us. And often we refer that as data being the new oil. And AI in this case is often referred to being the electricity, and the internet as a nervous system connecting all of that. The AI 100 report project has identified actually 9 areas that are already impacted by AI: transportation, home service robots, healthcare, education, entertainment, low resource communities, public safety and security, employment, and workplace. And we can see the type of funding that's taking place and is growing over the last 5 years. And that will have a much more impact on our day-to-day life as we go, and as we can see now in the acceleration. But one of the biggest challenge in the next 15 years will come from creating a safe and reliable hardware for autonomous cars, as we said, and healthcare robots. But also gaining trust in AI systems, especially in low resource communities, and overcoming the fear that this technology will marginalize humans in the new workplace. In fact, what type of opportunities will be available to us or to the youth? Some of these jobs were not even existing a few years ago, such as bloggers and bloggers. So how do we as an organization adapt? How do we as individuals adapt? In fact, if we look at from an exponential organization approach, we refer to exponential organization as purpose-driven organizations. We've seen that virtual and remote working facilitate staff on demand, but also create new management challenges. We've experienced that purchasing is different, sharing versus owning. Even the new emerging technologies are demanding a new set of skills from labor and from management. You can today be involved in programming autonomous cars. And on the other side, we've seen also that media entertainment on demand has substantially shifted the method of effective marketing. And why does your organization exist? And as Richard Branson says, if the dreams of your company don't scare you, then they are too small. Here's some examples of MTP organizations, Google, SpaceX, and TEDx. So how do we adapt? Do we look on the left? Do we look on the right? Can we see both of the pictures together? We see a lot of their organization already disappearing, and we see that the average age of these companies are also much lower. Some companies don't even exist anymore. Like I mentioned earlier, Kodak, Nokia, and Tower Record Sears are not the same as they were, nor Polaroid, Motorola, and so on. And we will see that a lot more in the next few years. So, what companies do to adapt? First, we looked at the technology trends, and they are an important aspect to understand the exponentiality mindset associated with the technology trend. But secondly, it is difficult for an organization to change. Specifically, when we refer to what we call the success trap, and a lot of them fell into that category, because they are very successful as it is in this exploitation mode, efficiency, productivity, control. And therefore, it is very difficult to disrupt themselves, to look at edge initiatives, to actually turn around completely and do something potentially completely different from their initial creation, as long as the MTP is still the same. And that exploration, innovation, creativity is very difficult, and autonomy is very difficult to achieve. And of course, they need to be able to view the world with an exponential mindset. So what are the key 10 attributes? Staff on demand, community and crowd, algorithm, leverage and assets. And we all know the stories of Airbnb and Uber, etc. Engagement, interfaces, dashboard, making decision in real time, having access to feedback loops. Experimentation is an important aspect of how actually also getting this linking this dashboard and the engagement. Autonomy, it is also a very important aspect because that requires a very strong culture change, and leveraging also social technologies. It still brings us to a question: how do we systematically and effectively change a culture to become dedicated to transformation and innovation? First, we need to be immersed in the process. Secondly, we need to have some guidance and a systematic approach. And finally, we need to have this autonomy to grow and to connect further. And that's what the exponential methodology is facilitating as part of its processes. As an organization, we've seen that there's a lot of different tools at our disposal to be able to explore further how to look and leverage these exponential technologies. But as human, as individual, how do we adapt? What kind of skills do we need? What kind of competencies should we look for? How do we upgrade ourselves? Considering that that our brand has not upgraded anything since the last 50,000 years. At AI in Africa, our MTP is about empowering the youth for an inclusive future with AI. The classrooms have not changed. For the last 100 years at least, we still have this linear way of teaching with an educator, teacher, and the rest of the class. We are focusing at AI in Africa on what has been identified as the 21st century skills, and specifically we're focusing on the 10 skills that are linked to competencies. 4 competencies: critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, collaboration. But also what's defined character, citizenship, around curiosity, initiative, persistence and grit, adaptability, leadership, social and cultural awareness. We focus very much also through design thinking on problem qualification. And this is the key actually in terms of resolving problems, as Einstein has mentioned it. We then immerse the students with a mix of technologies, because no one technology on its own will bring all the disruptions. And so it's very important to actually understand how to interact with these different type of technologies, and within these technologies, which are such as AI, very much of a suitcase word to combine a lot of different things. Clearly, it's impossible to predict what AI will bring to our future, given the rapid pace of change and the development. But it is clear that we need to support active citizens of the future in harnessing and engaging with AI for good ethical purposes. And ethics is an important part of our curriculum. Robots are designed by humans, AI is designed by humans, programs are designed by humans. So creativity will be really the key in this exponential journey. And our objective is to build creators and thinkers and not just consumers. We're doing that as part of an ecosystem, and that ecosystem involves bringing the community together, the parents, the educators, the corporates, the organizations, to try to drive together an open innovation ecosystem, while at the same time addressing social impact challenges such as sustainable development in particular, and create that mindset of collaboration and creativity as an ecosystem. Last year, we built around 70 prototype projects with themes as wide as gangsterism, mental health, education. This year, we are in the process of digitizing a course around design thinking, AI applied to sustainable development, whilst at the same time developing further our open innovation community. Our objective is to enable 1 million dream builders within 5 years within Africa. If you want to be part of that journey as an organization or as a mentor or curriculum partner, please contact us directly at connect@philiptin.com or on aiinafrica.org. And please don't forget, keep the human inside of the tech. If you're interested in a one-day Exo workshop, please also do not hesitate to contact us. And finally, I will leave you with this beautiful picture from Gerd, that the future belongs to those that can hear it coming, from David Bowie. Thank you very much for your time, and please don't hesitate to contact us for any questions.